Proud of you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was talking to the guys earlier in the week. I want to, just be courteous. I'm like, oh well, how do you say hello in Danish? I went to go Google Translator. I was like, oh, is it hedge? Then I had to have it spelled. I'm like, oh, it's just hi.
hi. Yeah.
It's just hi.
You
So
say hi. Yeah, hi.
yeah.
Uh, Hi.
Yes, that's pretty simple for us. So we're pretty good for that. So yeah, man.
That's great.
This is
Thank you so
StreamYards.
much.
This is StreamYards. So if you look to your right, you'll see a private chat. So if anything you want to say as we're like talking, and you want to say you want to give us a message, whether it's like, hey, I got like 5 minutes, I got to go, or wherever the case may be, you can just shoot out that message. We won't read it out loud. It's just between us. You should be able to see it to the right of your screen there.
Yeah, and we're not live streaming or anything. We're just recording it locally, so we don't have to worry about anything like that.
Okay, it's the first time I use this, so
yeah, you're okay. Really, the only thing you need to know is if you want to bounce, if you want to leave, there is a little button that says "Leave Studio." That's really the only thing you'll need, honestly. To be honest with you, and now we're just gonna have a nice cordial conversation about antinatalism. You're the first person that's ever agreed to talk to us about antinatalism.
Yeah.
So we figured we'd come on here, just get a sense of who you are and why you are an antinatalist, and kind of talk through the differences of opinion we have, right?
Yeah. As I wrote in the email, I'm fine with us disagreeing. I mean, I don't have any.
Yeah, we have
thing
no
against
animosity.
that.
Yeah, there's no animosity. This is not an angry conversation. We're not like coming here to yell and scream.
Yeah, like
we're just here to talk. Yeah.
Those promo videos that we do that are like WWF call out videos. It's just taking a piss. It's just having fun, and we really are trying to bait people to get on here to just have discussions. We watch a lot of videos on here on a lot of different broad topics that are all across the internet, and we try to find the pockets of the internet that are like underneath a stone so we can try to shed some light on them. So what we want to do is, instead of just watching videos with people, we want to bring them on and have discussions with them. So we're calling people out in these debate call out videos, and it's really just a joke. I think we're actually scaring more people away than we actually are getting on. But we wanted to discuss antinatalism with you. I mean, we're all we I don't know if we've come up with, if Sean came up with the term, but we're vitalists. It's like an anti-natalism, and we're so fascinated with the people who have this belief that everything would be better just not existing in the first place. And I just I want you to speak a little more to that and your experiences that sort of led you up to that belief that would make you say, this would just all be better not having happened in the first place. Humanity, sentient life, all of it.
Yes, I heard the show about Inmendum where you talk for half an hour about Inmendum and analyze that. And my view is pretty much what he says in that video.
Okay.
Yeah, so Peter, it's one of those things like we watch a lot of content, right? And so what we're really excited about tonight is just to hear somebody from their point of view and their voice, like why they subscribe to that, right? It's more authentic and like a richer experience, we think. So we're happy for that. So I think.
Well, we could just start right here. Like, so are you an antinatalist or are you an ethylist? And do you think there's no distinction? I don't think there's much of a distinction. I think it's a very thin line of a difference, but maybe you could correct me.
Well, that's a difficult question. I don't particularly like Inmendum, so I don't really want to call myself an ethylist because, Inmendum is a bit weird. But
oh, no way!
Well, Peter, I got to tell you something. So, like, Zoobox is formally sponsored Naming a Star for awareness. So we're trying to get the word out there.
Oh yeah, you'll like my shirt.
Yeah,
I have a shirt. Amendum wanted for stealing star energy.
But I mean, it would be great if you got him on. I would really love to watch that. That would be awesome.
yeah, he's not going to come on it. He's not.
Okay, that's But anyway, I think this is more about humans, in my opinion. David Benatar's book, Better Never to Have Been. It's mostly about humans, and I think it becomes really difficult and complicated if you speak about other life forms other than human. I mean, that's really difficult. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, what do you think it makes it even worse to be an atheist? Or I don't know. I mean,
well, I think that's. What do you do? You think there's much of a distinction between like antinatalists? Because antinatalists, from what I understand, like we were pretty nascent to this stuff. Like we've only really been aware of it for like the past, or engaging with it really for the past like 4 or 5 months. And it seems like a lot of antinatalists really don't like ephilism, and they think that ephilism like kind of sours people on antinatalism because, like you said, in Mendham, he's a little extreme, he's a little intense, right? He's all about finding a way to push the red button, as he likes to say. Or killing women that might be impregnated by him if they refuse to have an abortion because he feels like they've broken a social contract with him. So like for me, I just it's like gradations of the same thing. It's just like ephilism is just the way more kind of, and I've made jokes about it. I think ephilism is the less pussified version of antinatalism. I think antinatalists have a harder time really talking about the mechanics of what the end game of what you're hoping will happen. Like whether if the goal is at some point the extinction of humanity through a natural process. I understand antinatalists want it through a natural process, a choice, basically. But you're still looking for the same end game. And I'm not sure why one is better than the other in your view. Do you feel that one is better than the other? Do you like the natural view, or do you think that you hoping for cataclysm?
I think it gets more extreme when you talk about animals. It gets more radical if you also have something against animals. I don't think it's not obvious that that's something wrong with being an animal, but I think a human being. I mean, like if you saw True Detective and that kind of stuff, like Matthew McConaughey and that Rustin Cole in True Detective, he sort of explains that. Like what, human consciousness and all that. I'm not sure that applies to animals. So,
I don't think it does, because there's not the same level of consciousness. They can't make decisions in the same way that people can. They don't have the same kind of awareness that people do. We are unique creatures on the planet in that respect, for sure.
You mentioned the Matrix also. I heard like that kind of speech, like that would apply to humans only. I think wouldn't say that. Of course, they're sentient animals, but I mean they're sentient in another way, as you say.
Yeah, well, they are. It's just levels of consciousness. It's not like they just don't have the ability to formulate ideas and have the same and will in the same way that people do.
I'm not an atheist. No, I don't think it applies to hamsters or something. People tease me for my hamster interest, but a lot. But I've been in this for 11 years. I've been an antinatalist for 11 years, and I got my channel deleted, my vessel zapper, which I mean, it was pretty cringe. There was this guy who said I was cringe, and some of it was pretty bad. So I'm hoping to do better tonight than.
Oh, you're okay. We're just like I said.
Thank you.
Just having a casual conversation, man. There's nothing to be stressed about or worried about at all.
And don't worry. Like recently, a lot of people have been calling Zubaks cringe too, man. So water off the back. Don't you worry about a thing. Well, to be fair, we're cringe as fuck. But I'm just saying.
Well, yeah, but I really got a lot off the back. I have a lot of love for you because you're American.
Oh, thank you.
A lot of respect.
That's a rarity out. That's a rarity out there.
Oh no.
Okay, well let's start here. I want to know what made you an antinatalist. Why did you start entertaining the idea?
Well, it was around 2011. I began to see it online. Like there was this guy called Terry Grick, who was like writing about pessimism, and I just began to think about pessimistic. I got a background in philosophy and humanities and stuff like that, and just began to think about pessimism and look at that again, and then it just made a lot of sense. And also had some personal tragedies in my life, like my father dying of leukemia and my brother dying of a heart attack at age 46. Around that period. Yeah, so I was just like thinking, pessimism. I really like that philosophy.
Yeah.
Even though it's unpopular, it's and misunderstood maybe, but
okay.
Or what you call it, nihilism, or you might call it nihilism or something weird.
Yeah.
But to me it makes a lot of sense, and so I just went. From 2011, I was just like, wow, that's the. I mean, that's the purpose with my life, basically. I mean,
yeah. So Peter, so like in this like tragic like time period of your life in regards to your brother and your father, do you think so? You kind of grabbed onto a coping mechanism with pessimism, if you will, kind of latched onto this. So you think you really initially, is this a fair assessment that you initially reached out to antinatalism, this like thought, this philosophy, or whatever we want to call it for conversation's sake, as a way to kind of like cope with that or to make sense with it? That's just basically what got you into this space.
Yeah, but I haven't. I'm not thinking so much about the psychology of it, because I'm more into philosophy. So hey, I'm not. My father was a psychiatrist, but I don't really like psychology. So.
Well, I guess the reason I think it would be we asked that is because if you suggest that, like, well, based on like personal traumatic experiences, this is something that led you to down a certain path, which leads you to find antinatalism.
Right.
I mean, so you are aware. So you're aware of the psychological components, like what leads a person in that direction, right? Like it's an overwhelming sense of tragedy and loss, and the desire to not feel that way, correct? Or not want to feel that again, or not thinking that other people should also have to suffer that kind of indignity, I suppose you could say. Is that kind of what started it?
Yes, and I just also always like extreme things, like radical things. So it's pretty funny, like because it's so it provokes people so much. I mean, it's so provocative. Yeah. Sorry, my English is it's not my first language.
Don't worry about it.
You speak.
Yeah, it's
great.
Oh, thank you. It's what do you call it? Radical. It's can really piss people off, right? So I mean,
so as part of it, it's just like this embracing of the troll sphere.
yeah. Right.
It's a way to kind of troll people a little bit.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of right. Because I mean, it's not gonna happen anyway. I mean, it's not like people are gonna stop procreating. That's not gonna happen.
No, it's not. I agree with you.
I mean,
I just wish, like, when I watch antinatalist content and I see videos, I'm like, I wish these people would put as much effort into like positive things in their life and their communities as they do into doubling down on a dead end philosophy that's never really going to go anywhere. Like, it's just never going to happen. And I don't understand like why the need to expel the energy. But if you're saying like, well, this also allows me to have a little bit of fun on the internet, like I understand that. Like I get that. At least I can understand.
No, it's not only on the internet. It's really my whole life. My whole is really. I'm really consumed by this philosophy. Also outside the internet. Yeah.
Well, what do you do? So what do you do like in IRL, in your real life? Like what do you do? What does it mean to be an antinatalist? Like what do you do? Like you walk around, do you hand out pamphlets? Do you talk to people? What do you do?
Well, I got one of my friends, a female friend, is also an antinatalist, and I'm also talking with my mother, who is 86 years old, almost 87, and I'm 45.
Yeah,
she's 46, but Yeah, but I'm talking with my mother. I'm talking with her about it, for example, but I don't have much. I'm unemployed and I don't know a lot of people, so no, I don't know. I mean, so maybe just do other types of activism, like freedom activism and stuff like that. Like, so that in my mind is connected to antinatalism, even though it might not be for real. But
okay, fair enough.
Uh, uh, oh. Oh, it's your. Oh, by the way, your name is Sean. Oh, that's Big Paul, and your name is Sean. Okay, I get it now.
Yeah. Don't worry about it. You're good, man.
Hi. Yeah.
So, I mean,
may I pose a question here?
Yeah, go ahead. Of course.
If the core philosophy here is that it is better to not exist in the first place, what compels you to keep existing? Why do you keep? What compels you? What keeps you here every day?
Well, it's before you exist, before you're conceived, you might call that pre-vital non-existence. So that I mean that's different from now, from what's going on now. I mean, there was a time when we didn't exist, right? We weren't born, we weren't conceived. Mm-hmm. So I mean, it's not exactly the same as being dead. Maybe, I don't know. It's not the same as living right now.
Well, it's not the same as being alive and then dying, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So I mean, I can wish that I was never conceived, and I can not want to have a child, not want to procreate. But I mean, it's not really the same as living my life right now. I mean, it's. But I mean, it's of course it's complicated philosophical questions. I mean, it's really difficult.
Of course, yeah. I mean, what is the meaning? What makes the life worth living, and what is the meaning of those things, etc. But don't you think that the antinatalist kind of worldview packages preconception of what value is and what is worth a struggle and what isn't worth a struggle? Because I mean, as far as I understand it, you can correct me if I'm wrong. I know you're much more well read and versed in this. Is that no amount of pleasure or joy you may have experienced in life is worth the suffering of like the neutral state of existence. Like just naturally, we are born and we begin to suffer, and there's nothing that can ever make up the deficit there, right? So,
yeah, I don't think so. Because I don't really want to become a father. I don't see why should I become a father? I'm happy not to. Not to procreate.
Okay, but I have a lot of friends who have. I have a lot of friends who've chosen to not have children, and they have perfectly good reasons not to. It's a big sink on your time. It's a loss of your own identity. It's a lot of money. It's a lot of responsibility. And I have friends, most of my friends, who have said, I don't want to have children because I just want to live my life and focus on what makes me happy. That's a lot different than saying all sentient life should cease to be, or rather would be better to have not been in the first place. Just choosing to not have children and saying that everything shouldn't have been in the first place are two different things. So what my curiosity with the antinatalists is, how do you make that leap? And also, under what circumstances could life be worth living?
Or worth bringing into the world, I suppose, right?
Well, yeah, but no circumstances for me, because in pre-vital non-existence before, I mean, there wasn't any problem. Like if you think back, like to 1960 or something, I didn't have any problems. Why should I have anything against that?
Well, of course. I mean, you didn't have any problems. You didn't exist.
You didn't have any problems.
Yeah.
But
so I don't see why.
You didn't have any problems, but you didn't have any lasagna either.
That's true. That's
right.
true.
So there is. Oh, sorry.
No, it's fine. Go ahead.
It was just a weird glitch of the sound. Everybody cross section. There is that, and antinatalists kind of write it off as a tchotchke, as just a thing to say. There is a exchange of energy between this negativity and then the positivity that you experience, where it's like, yeah, I have to watch grandma die, but also I got to like sing country songs with her and tell old stories with her before she died, and then before that I had this whole big life with her that we had memories, and I carry her with me now. And yeah, people might not remember grandma in 100 years, but that's not really the sum of the human existence. Like, we kind of forget our space in the collective when we think so individually. Like, we are an organism at large here. We're not just atomized individuals. And like, I think our experience as an organism matters, and the fact that we're already here means that the story has already started. So to stop the story would be to cut off the head before it finally ended and murder it. So like, I appreciate the antinatalist philosophy, but also like, in practicality, there's nothing to do about it because we're already here. So to do something about it would mean like genocide or mass suicide, or like, not the really rare event that 7 billion people are going to choose to stop. Like, an entire organism is going to choose to stop procreating. Like that. So I do appreciate it philosophically. It is like a philosophical, like, Chinese finger trap, and that's one of the reasons why I'm fascinated by it, because like, there are so many corners you can paint it into, or you can paint yourself into while thinking along those lines. But just thinking of it from a practical day-to-day thing, I'm like, you don't even have to have kids. Like, we have plenty of kids, like plenty of people are having kids, and we're coming hopefully to a much needed like population decline a little bit, but just to have that, like you said, you're embracing the nihilism of it, the sort of bitterness of it, rather than like, I tend to embrace the bittersweetness of things, because I like the sweet's there, you can taste it if you want, but what compels the antinatalist to just embrace and evangelicalize the gospel of just the nihilistic part. Like, why not just join in with the rest of humanity and like having fun in the celebration of creation?
Well, when we're talking here, I am doubting my right to impose on other people's procreation. Of course, I don't have any right to do that, but I can say I don't want to be a father. I mean, I'm not doubting that. I really, really don't want to be a father. And then of course you can go into subjective stuff like that's something about me and stuff. But I really have a strong feeling that it would be horrible to be a father. I mean, I really, really feel that really strongly. So,
as a father, I would agree with that sentiment several times a day.
But they're fleeting.
Yeah.
They're fleeting.
I'm so happy. I'm so happy. I don't have.
I'm a parental realist. I'm not an Instagram parent. I am kind of a bit of an Instagram parent, but hey, what can you do?
Yeah.
But like, I am a realist about the realism of parenthood. You do spend 75% of your time exhausted, tapped out, on the verge, like trying to be patient with this fucking creature that like his cerebral cortex is not formed. He does not know that it's wrong to do. He's exploring the world. This kid that we have is so bombastic and just he wants to be at the core of everything, and to keep up with that energy is so exhausting. And I do agree with antinatalists about one thing. I think a lot of people choose to have children for the wrong reasons. They do it when they're completely unprepared. Mm-hmm. And it kind of gives a bad name to the kind of situation like where me and Caitlin came together and we were like, we are going to build a family. We're going to do this. We're going to plan your fertility, X, Y, and Z. We're going to do this for our children's nutrition. We're going to raise them in this way or choose to homeschool them or whatever. People don't really go into it with that much intention. And you do end up with a lot of broken family stories. And when I dug into our antinatalist, like the Reddit antinatalist boards, and kind of, I went in there like a little ninjutsu, and I tried to suss out some personal stories from those people as to why they became antinatalists, and so much of it goes back to having shitty relationships with their parents. And I don't know anything about your relationship with your parents, but from what I've heard and saw and read from a lot of antinatalists, like Diane, they have horrible relationships with their parents, and I think that like maybe that might play a little bit into it. And I can agree with them that there is a epidemic of bad parenting out there, especially in the West, where we're so atomized as individuals. So, even you go into parenthood not knowing how to cope with another person and the emotional and psychological demands that they have on your life. And dude, I cannot imagine some fucking person who's like 3 or 4 IQ deviations below me who has a really bad temper. Like, I've thought about it before. I totally get why people like bash their infants' brains in and stuff because they don't have the capacity.
Throw that kid in the microwave.
Yeah, like or people just snap because these sounds that these children make and the things that they do.
It takes you to the edge.
It takes you to the edge. There's almost primitive response to it, and I think that is because that's your brain going. You need to, like, that child is in peril, and you need to do something for them. Sure. So it's like a red light flashing in your brain. I think that fucking, like, who's the guy who killed his family? Chris Watts. I always say I have Chris Watts energy.
Well, I'm fine with my mother. I don't have any really problem with her. But yeah, I mean, of course, yeah, I know Diane is and other antinatalists are angry at their parents. Also, Fleora, the Australian. Did you see the Australian woman, Fleora? Have you seen her?
I don't think so. No, I don't.
That's not yet.
Also really angry at her mother, and but I'm not. That's not my motivation.
Right.
I'm.
You come at it from more of an intellectual kind of exercise, like a philosophical perspective, right?
Right.
It's not like it's not like a deeply. Well, it's personal, obviously, because philosophy is life, but like it's you're a little bit headier, right? You're a little bit up here, where most people are down in their emotions, their feelings with it. That's what drives it. That's what drives the belief. Usually, like Dan said, it's a personal. That's most of the time that you watch antinatalist content, a lot of their arguments why antinatalism is the way to go are the most petty grievances I've ever heard, like things like restaurants not being open when they want them to be and stuff like that. Like those things like that. Those are the people that are out there repping antinatalism. Like those are the people that have like at least somewhat of a following. We're talking like over 1,000 subscribers, some of them, because it's a very niche thing, as I'm sure you're aware of. It's a very insular, small, little niche community. It seems like you guys all know each other to one degree or another. At least you know of each other, because there isn't that many people doing antinatalist content. But yeah, so that's I think that's like most of the big takeaways. Even in Mendham himself, who probably would consider himself above it all, very intellectual.
He would consider himself the Jesus fucking Christ of antinatalism.
But like even him, it always goes back. Like once you start, like if you listen enough and you watch enough stuff and you start reading between the lines, you're like, oh, this person has like a lot of personal grievances about things that happened in their life. Like how else? But in fairness, how else would you come to this conclusion if it wasn't for deeply personal pained tragedies or setbacks or realizing that life isn't fair and nature doesn't care about you? I mean, those are hard things to grapple with. I think a lot of people, though, when you get older, you start understanding the game. You understand the rules and the confines of it, and you're able to manipulate it in your way if you have the will to do so. And then build something out of that. Like build something out of your suffering, because you're going to suffer anyways. That's going to happen. It doesn't matter. There's no getting away from that. So I guess I just don't, and I'm not saying that you do this. It seems like a lot of people just like gave up. They just give up, and then they use the veil of antinatalism as a rationalization for the fact that they don't want to put effort into their own lives. I mean, I'm like I said, I'm not suggesting that that's true in your case, but that's what I have observed over the past like 5 or 6 months. That seems like a pretty standard perspective on that.
Yes. But on the other hand, I mean, it's an ancient philosophy as well. I mean, it goes back to like Schopenhauer and even the Bible.
Sure.
Some stuff, and it's.
Yeah, it's not something
I don't know.
There's been little speckles of this throughout philosophy, throughout the history of philosophy, little notions of it, and it's all kind of culminated. I guess I don't know. Who do you think is the modern father of antinatalism? I know you love David Benatar. I know you're a big David Benatar fan. That's a joke. I watched some of your channel. That's why. It's a little joke. But David Benatar seems like the one that people point to most of the time. Like if you're new to it, like you find David Benatar. That's who you find. If you look up antinatalism, you find David Benatar.
There's David Benatar, and then there's this French guy who is Théophile de Chiraud, who came out at the same time as Benatar. That was around 2005, 2006. They both, and he's also very powerful, a French guy, but unfortunately he talks a lot in French, so... But he's extremely intelligent as well.
That is the worst trait of French people.
They speak in French. It's disgusting.
Yeah, really
but I think maybe I don't think I shouldn't talk about my problem with David Benatar on this podcast, because then we change the topic completely. So.
Well, you think he gave up, right? He gave up on it. It doesn't matter. We can go anywhere you want. Anything that interests you, we can talk about.
That would be a good place to go, probably.
Well, I met David Benatar in person, and he's a very nice guy. He's very charismatic and stuff. But my problem. Well, this is a little controversial. I don't know if I should say this, but actually, my problem with David Benatar actually was that he believed in the COVID-19 narrative. That was what got me angry at him.
I got you. Didn't he write a whole book about it?
Wait, I'm not following. Can you elaborate on that more? What narrative?
Yeah, well, he was just saying like mandatory vaccines was great, and you shouldn't let people into universities and stuff if they weren't vaccinated and stuff. And
Peter's very based.
Then I got angry. Yeah.
No, Peter's very based on this. I saw some of your videos.
Yeah, I got deleted all over the mainstream internet for speaking about this, my opinion about this. So, I mean, I know it's again, that's another controversial topic. So I don't know but I mean, I was just having some fun with pretending I was angry at Benatar. I'm not really angry at him. So of course I respect him for his role and kind of stuff. But I mean, he's a weird guy. He always has a cap on. Apparently, he never takes it off or something. It's sort of weird, But I mean, he's a very handsome, energetic. Yeah, I met him in Denmark a couple of years ago. He's very.
Well, next time
very impressive.
Next time you go see him talk, you should heckle him a little bit. Like, take that fucking hat off, buddy.
Yeah, be like, hey,
hey, what are you hiding?
You can ask David Benatar, how does it feel to get the shit kicked out of you by a Canadian? See how that goes.
Yeah, the Canadian truckers.
Jordan Peterson.
Jordan Peterson talked to him, and then Sam Harris.
Oh, right, yeah.
Because he's done like a few public, at least that I could find, because I looked everywhere. It's kind of hard to find like a David Benatar interview.
Well, they did one with Sam Harris and Jordan Peterson.
Yep.
And I don't know. I mean, I thought Jordan Peterson said some good things. For example, he said that antinatalism is very radical, and the Benatar wouldn't even agree with that. I mean, it just seems to me that's obviously true. I mean, of course, I mean, like Peterson said something like, well, why wouldn't you be like a serial killer or something then? You could just like the school shootings, or something like if you. I mean, there's those guys. I mean, I agree with that. I mean,
but I guess when you get so involved in a thought space, this philosophy, that you're not going to see it as radical anymore. At some point, when you believe into it and that's all you think about, and that's what you start preaching to the world, you're not going to look at it as radical, because that's your point, is to make that mainstream because you believe it's an ethical and moral superior. Thought.
Yeah, it's ideologically driven. It seems like for people like David Benatar, maybe for yourself even, like it is like somewhat of a. I mean, it takes on more than just being a philosophy. It becomes like a way of life. It becomes like almost religious, and people are very into it in the same way people are very into religion or any other type of belief system. At least, for my dalliances with it. That's what I've picked up.
Yeah, right. It's like that movie, The Wave, or something. Remember that movie, like about like how you radicalize people, like you know, like where they did a school experiment, like where you get some like meaning with your life if you're in some kind of group. You know, to me it was like that. You know, like I was like really like, oh, this is awesome. You know, I want to, you know, like, I want to be in that community. You know, that's really my kind of.
So what do you
But,
what do you get out of like being an antinatalist? Like, so you are kind of part
it's fun.
It's fun.
Right.
It's fun. Yeah. So you feel like you found a community, right? Like you found people to talk to, similar interests. It's like a little club in a certain respect.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, Peter, let me tell you what, man. You could be a part of the Zoobox community. You know.
Thank you. Yeah,
we collaborate more content and stuff like that. And like we could take that troll energy and like we could put it somewhere else. I think Peter. I think Peter with you, and then for anyone like listening, Antinatalism Zone 1 and 2. Do you have a third one? No, it's 1 and 2. Antinatalism Zone 1 and 2. Right? Yeah, we could join forces together and spread the word to stop in Menham. Star Energy theme. Zoobox Corporate is putting out a $10,000 bounty on him. He must be stopped. So I think like you just embrace Zooboxism. All right, made it up. Made it up right now. You embrace Zooboxism. You join forces with us. We'll raise awareness against Menham, and then we'll move forward with this.
Yeah, when you get a computer, you can come hang out and watch stupid videos with us.
Holy shit!
Yeah,
we
if
watch stupid videos
Menham went on, I mean, that would be the greatest video on YouTube. You know, that would be so awesome if Menham debated with you. That would just
God.
He
won't do it. He won't do it because he's too busy going over there talking about the evils of fucking Google, which
Google is evil.
Well,
sure.
you know,
you can grant
talk about Google is evil on Google. Yeah.
But what about Superhuman Dance? I mean, are you sure you have asked everybody? I mean, you talk about it, Roberto, fuck him, you know. And yeah.
Oh my God, Roberto!
You talk about that guy. I mean, that guy's a real piece of shit. You know?
Oh, really? Let's talk about Roberto.
Okay, tell me. Actually, yes, tell me about Roberto, because Roberto has been haunting our comment section ever since we started talking about.
Haunting is too strong a word, Sean. Haunting is too strong.
Well,
a word.
he's been skulking,
lingering. He's been lingering, like the goddamn cranberries.
Well, he has another account called Sisyphus in existence. That's the same guy.
That's him.
Oh.
And I blocked both of those accounts because he really attacked me.
Did he
a lot. It was really rude to me.
Peter, listen, Peter. Listen. This is the first outreach Zoobox is doing. I'm telling you, ditch antinatalism, join forces with Zoobox, and we'll take that troll energy, and we'll take Roberto down. We'll take Roberto down.
We'll take them all down.
Because you become part of Zoobox, and like you'd be
we have a long history of allying with our enemies, like when we allied with the vegans to take down big animal agriculture.
Yeah. Still forthcoming.
Yeah.
Dominion 2, Dominion the sequel.
Roberto,
it's coming.
Yeah, I hate Roberto.
Yeah. Roberto.
So who in the antinatalism like communities that you orbit or you interact with, who is somebody that you would point to be like, hey, they're a good antinatalist. That's somebody that is worth listening to. Is there anybody, like any channel in specifically or any person specifically that does, like, I'm not talking about like David Benatar or like the people that write about this stuff. I'm just talking about content creators like us. Like, is there like any person that you'd be like, well, that's somebody that's actually like reasonable and nice and worth listening to?
Yeah, there's this guy called Glunos who lives in Russia. I think he's
might be a little busy.
He lives in Russia.
Why?
He might be in the eastern Ukraine right now, actually. He's a Russian male. He might not be making videos right now.
I think he's Scottish or something, but he's a really nice guy. Glunos, and also Diane has some friends. I think he's called Alex or something. Did some street activism, like really good stuff as well.
Oh, I know Alex. Well.
Really intelligent.
Alex is
person.
who we want. We need to get Alex on here.Alex is the one who really needs
to
defend his beliefs.
Alex
he's
told
a genius.
He's a genius. Alex?
Really?
What did he do? The fucking Hadron Collider or some shit?
Something.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I think you guys are geniuses as well. I mean,
no,
that is
stop.
That is true.
Please. Go on. Keep it going.
No, I do know Alex. I know, obviously, we know Diane. Diane has become kind of a fixture on our channel. She's a little bit of she's a character. Oh yeah, we're having a little libations here. Got some Jameson.
To Norm Macdonald.
To Norm Macdonald. Yeah.
Norm Macdonald.
Roberto. Are you watching this, Roberto?
That's that troll energy, Peter. I love it. See, you're already
this guy.
You're already got better. Guy right here.
I think Roberto. Now that I know, like, he has a channel that actually makes videos. That's the next. That's the next cycle.
Yeah, baby.
That's the next antinatalism arc.
But I that's the antinatalist bitch, or that antinatalist bitch. I heard
what's going on? What's going on with the antinatalist bitch? Can you talk about
she's my girlfriend. Yeah.
Okay.
Nice.
Okay.
Didn't you guys meet in a chess group?
No, she doesn't play chess. I think. Yeah, I'm a chess master, but I don't think she plays. No.
Oh,
you are a chess master, actually.
He is.
We should do videos where you beat me in chess in like 4 moves.
We can play blindfold
while I eat spicy chips and get drunk, and I'm just like crying.
No, so okay, so that antinatalist bitch. So that's your girlfriend?
Yeah,
okay.
No.
Did you guys meet like what you are you guys like, and I don't mean any offense by this, but are you guys like, have you ever met in person, or are you just like on the internet? No.
Oh,
okay.
wait, no.
Yeah.
Is she?
Because we actually got to thank her, because she's the one that directed us to you. So this whole conversation tonight we're having is because of that. So
because she said she had social anxiety, so she didn't want to come on and talk.
She's been incorporating a lot more liver into her diet, right? She's done some videos on it, right?
Has she?
Yeah, she's like eating chicken livers.
I didn't subscribe yet, but now I'm intrigued.
Well, I
don't think she's actually.
To be honest, yeah.
I don't know if she's actually. I don't think she's actually eating chicken livers. I think that she is like trolling somebody.
Yeah.
She's got these weird videos of her with like a container of chicken livers. I don't fucking know, dude.
But like, Peter, like it's all good fun though. Like, you're not going to be like weird about her having any hard feelings when Dan knocks her up, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I think she lives in Texas or something, but I haven't seen a lot of her videos.
Well, how did you
she lives in Corpus Christi.
How did you meet her?
Oh, I just saw her antinatalist videos on YouTube.
Okay. Now, did she say that she was your girlfriend, or did you say that you were her boyfriend? Who made the first move?
Well, I think I just saw her picture and thought she looks pretty hot and stuff. So I just thought, okay, she's my girlfriend. So, and then she agreed with that. So,
and you see, and that right there is why Peter is a chess master. Not only is he based as fuck, okay? He's a chess master.
Knight takes the king.
He's like pretty Chad. That's a pretty Chad
like,
move.
Bitch, you didn't even know. You didn't even know that we're going out. You didn't even know we're in a relationship. Stop it. Go back to your duties. Oh, I love it, Peter. You see, this is why you need to join. You need to ditch antinatalism. Join forces with Zoobox. So and together battle in Menham. We're gonna do it, man. We're going to do this. This is a good thing. I feel like a lot of good vibes for Stan. Are you catching a vibe?
I'm catching a vibe. I am catching a vibe of a man who is a vitalist, who's like, you know how when you plant a bulb in the fall, and then it freezes all winter, and then in the spring, finally that bulb blossoms into a beautiful flower. Yeah. That's how I feel Peter's soul is. And he is an antinatalist who's going to blossom into a vitalist so that he can take us into this Armageddon battle within Mendam and finally face down the beast. I feel
Zoobox was the fertilizer to help expedite that.
Exactly.
We are the catalyst to get this going. It's not only ditching, antinatalism.
There's so much star energy in Zoobox. Dude. It's just radiating.
And Menham is trying to steal that said energy. And that's why, Peter, we need to join forces and take him down.
Because he's going to take us all down with him. Yeah. Otherwise,
he's trying to push that red button every chance he gets. So Peter, like, so we're circling since we brought up Amendham. Like, what's your problem with Amendham? Like, why don't you like subscribe to Ethylism or the Tao of Amendham? I call him Scary Gary. I don't even call him Amendham anymore. I don't even give him. I don't even give him that. I don't give him that honorific anymore. Now I call him Scary Gary.
But well, he firstly, I want to say that I think his name is because he lives in a town called Mendham, so
yes.
that's why he's called in Mendham. By the way,
yes.
It's very original. It's very clever.
But yeah,
He's from
well, I
North
don't like.
Jersey.
Well, I have an academic background. So I just don't like the way he argues. He's very just like, I'm right, because I say so. It's like there's no hypothesis, no arguments, no evidence or anything.
Yeah, he doesn't have conversations. He dictates, right?
Yeah.
And he just
right.
And either you agree with him or not. And if you don't agree with him, then you're stupid. That's what he has to say, right?
He has been polite to me, sort of. He always talked nicely about me, but I just see him being rude towards other people.
You joined Zoobox because you just there's the proverbial line in the sand.
So he's always been cordial with you. He's always been nice. Have you ever talked to him, or just in chatting?
Well, we did some like video response, like where I sent him some videos, and he was like, "Yeah, okay. I mean, there's a new Antinatalist, and he plays chess and blah blah blah, and so he's in a cold country, and it's just stuff like that about me." But no, not much, and he does ignore people. He ignored me as well. I mean, it's still like he's just using me for his own purpose, right? I mean, like he does with everybody.
Kind of. It seems like he's a little bit of a narcissist, right? I think a classic narcissist. I think that's Scary Gary there.
Sure.
Yeah, because I don't ever like. It seems like he's just like you guys had said earlier. He's like he views himself as like a Christ-like figure, and that everybody should be following. We are his flock type of attitude. And I agree with you. I don't think I think he has intuited a lot of that stuff, and a lot of it's through just life experience and observations. It's not really grounded in any kind of academic sense. I don't think he's very. I don't even think Gary's very well read. He doesn't seem like he's very like you. From watching some of your channel earlier today, you're a very well read guy. Like you're a sharp dude. And no, not at all. Like no thanks necessary. But like somebody like Gary isn't, because he's all like brute force. And there, like you said, there's no argumentation. There's no breaking it down. Let's work through this process. Let's look at the mechanics of it. Like it's really.
And that's why I want him to come on Zoobox, because I am an unstoppable force and he is an immovable object. And I want brute force versus brute force. I want to see the angel and the devil go at each other and amend him. I know you're out there. I can smell you. I can smell your hair. When I watch your videos, I can smell your hair. I know what it smells like. It's gross.
Yeah, it smells like
cat in your house all day.
I mean, it's really sad. He doesn't want to do it.
I'm not done with him. I'm not done with him. You probably collect disability. You probably live off the taxpayers' dime. You sit around watching TV, Mary Povich. Good Morning America. Let me tell you something, buddy. You'd be better off not existing, because then I wouldn't have to pay for you. Ooh, I'm coming for you in London. I'm coming for you. Let me say it again. Sorry to cut you off, Peter. Sorry to cut you off.
Yeah, I just said it would make so many people happy. So it's really again. I mean, that's selfish of him that he doesn't want to do stuff like that.
I think the antinatalism movement in general needs a little juice. It's a little stale right now. It's like subsisting. I think Zoobox could give it the juice it needs. Everybody needs an enemy, Peter. Like everybody needs an adversary.
That's true.
Well, inevitably it becomes like the old man yelling at the cloud thing. Like, I don't want to have kids. The world is a really hard place. I don't think that it matters if anybody does anything. And then the rest of the world like keeps going by. It's like standing on a street corner yelling as 7 million people go about their day. That's what being an antinatalist is like. And the rest of existence just continues and will continue. And even if human beings burn out on the planet Earth as the sun completes its heat death cycle and like sinks into the fucking planet and consumes us all, there's other life out there. Mathematically, there has to be other life out there. We know that the universe is so large. It doesn't matter. Life continues.
Yeah, I mean, that's another thing. In Mendham is completely sure there's no life in the universe other than on Earth. So I mean, how can he know that?
He makes a lot of assumptions and assertions about, and this is something like this is not obviously not just amend him, but it's about what do you find value in,
right?
And what are your values? Like it seems like it's a misalignment of values. So like when you come across like antinatalism or ephilism, and they describe their worldview, it's very foreign to most people because like that's not the way we organize our lives or prioritize things. It's just not the way we think about things, right? And when I first came to it, I thought like, hey, maybe I'll find something interesting. Like I'm not the most like well-read person in the world, but I do know a little bit about philosophy. I am like engaged with that stuff to a certain degree, and I kind of found it very shallow, and I found it like almost paradoxical and self-refuting at some point. And even David, like one of the examples I would have is if you listen to the Sam Harris, or David Benatar conversation, Sam Harris poses some pretty basic stuff that David Benatar doesn't really have answers for, other than like, well, I disagree. There's not a lot of like good philosophical grounding, other than like, life is suffering, pain exists. Wouldn't it be preferable if we didn't exist so that there would be no pain? Like it doesn't really mean much. It's something that's you can talk about it, and it's so abstract, it's so nebulous, it will never happen, that it's very easy to go out there and proselytize this worldview because there's no stakes. There's nothing. There's no stakes in this game, Peter. At least from my perspective. I mean, I know you feel differently, and that's fair enough, and that's okay. But like to me, like there is no stakes in it, and I don't understand.
Well, even Peter said it's just a troll.
Yeah.
Well, no, but what about?
Extent, it's not completely a troll, but like he enjoys the troll aspect of it, right?
Yes, but what about like veganism? You might be a vegan and still eat meat. Like say the philosophy is correct, but you still eat meat because you can't. I mean, that could happen as well. I mean, I think I made somebody pregnant once, for example, but she had like a miscarriage or something,
right.
and it could happen again, No, no, with a
Hmm.
local girlfriend here, and I mean it could happen, of course, that you like somebody has a miscarriage, or so. I mean that you have sex without protection, even though you're an antinatalist, you might still have unprotected sex.
Of course, yeah. That's actually somebody called out Scary Gary in Mendham, and they said like, well, why do you have sex with women? Because now you're moving that ticker up. Now there is a chance. You went from 0 chance of having a child to even if there's like a 1% chance because of prophylactics or whatever. Like you've moved it. So why would you do that? Isn't that irresponsible to do that? And he freaked the fuck out. He got very upset. And then he said that he would push a woman down the stairs if she got pregnant with his child.
Oh yeah. Yeah, horrible. Yeah, terrible.
And Diana's always making these short videos where she keeps constantly referencing about a man coming inside an unprotected fertile vagina, and she just comes off like a cat in estrus. You know what I mean? She comes off like a cat in heat, rolling around on the ground, saying, "Come on, somebody put 5 or 6 babies in me." And it just I don't understand.
It's like one of those mean girls that just talks about how much she doesn't like something because she secretly wants it.
Exactly. Yeah, I feel like every antinatalist woman probably just wants to have a few babies hanging off her milk bags.
But can I just say that also I got an Israeli friend. You asked me about content creators, and he doesn't make much content, but he's a really nice guy, and he followed me like for 10 years or something, even back to the deleted channel. I got my Vessel Sapphire channel deleted, but he followed me through a lot of deleted channels, and he's a really, really nice guy. I think he's called something like Just Another YouTuber 3.
Okay.
And he's always been, but there's not much content on his. He's like got some like gaming videos and stuff, but
okay.
But yeah, he's not like Roberto at all,
You could do the 1-2 punch with Roberto though, because now we know his source, his channel. We can make a light inquiry over there, but you go in there with the
So what is your beef with Roberto? Is it just that he's rude?
it's been really rude. I'm the kind of guy who's like on Best Go and YNC and stuff like that. Really hardcore websites. But I mean, that guy is just unbelievable. I mean, that's just the way he attacked me. Is just.
Why did he attack you? Like, what was he beefing with you about?
Well, she was like writing stuff like, could you explain that and stuff, and then I would like make a video half an hour, and then he would like abuse me and stuff like like just being real bully, rude, and just like what the fuck? I mean, like
so he would ask you to do a video, explain something. You do the video, then he'd just start like roasting you in the comments.
Yeah, and then I made a video like for fun, about Andreas Moss and David Benatar, where I said that they should read the Small Penis Bible. Then he wrote like you should have the No Penis Bible and stuff like that.
Oh, Roberto,
yeah, come on.
Yeah,
this guy's a psychopath. I mean, I'm doing it for fun. He's like really rude, really nasty. I mean.
He does try. He definitely tries. He tried in the comments section a little bit, but honestly, I haven't heard from him in a minute. And I guess maybe my intellectual superiority. I must have trounced Roberto. I must have trounced him because he didn't have anything to say.
No,
he was begging me. He was begging me for 3 months to do Inmendum videos.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and no content. I mean, and the Sisyphus in existence has no content either. He has two channels at least without any content at all. But
you're saying he's a coward. You're saying he's a fake antinatalist.
Roberto is a coward.
I don't know. He says he's an antinatalist.
He might have pushed the button. He might have actually done it, and we might be calling him a fake antinatalist, and yet he's the truest antinatalist because he made his own suicide pod, and he took the initiative. That's the thing. Is
that's allowed in Denmark, though, right?
Hold on. Like the
Denmark too, I think.
Yeah, I'm Danish. I can't take all that bullying.
I've been listening to the Right to Not Exist podcast, and they talk a lot about this right to not exist. Can you speak a little bit to your opinion on the right to not exist?
The right, yeah. Well, I support that. Like I think it should be easier to commit suicide and stuff if you like
assisted suicide.
If you want to, right. Yeah, I mean there should be just like, I mean there's this essay called Ever Deeper Honesty on YouTube, where it takes 41 hours to read the audiobook. It's an audiobook I created with a friend. That explains very well that there should just be some kind of like room in every municipality, in every town. There should just be some room you could go into and just like, I want to die, and then.
Well, don't you think though people like make impulsive decisions especially when you're dealing with like depression and stuff like that? That, I mean, I guess they wouldn't regret it because they would be dead. But like, so much of that, like, because I've listened to that podcast as well, and a lot of it is like you've kind of suggested, is that removing barriers to entry for assisted suicide and like medical assistance with that stuff. Like they have like they go so far as like they don't want any like psychologists or anybody to like interview you or talk to you. I mean, do you go that far with it? Like where you think that there should be no barriers to like people having access to this kind of hot suicide tech?
Yes, but I mean, in theory, like if you could just do it much easier. I mean, in practice, it's impossible to do safely and without pain, probably. But if like in theory, you just press a button and disappear, I think a lot of people would do that.
Well, that's what I mean is like about like having like the barriers are there to see how serious you are. Like, so even in places where assisted suicide is very legal and it's something that people can look into, they want to see if you actually mean it. Because like I said, people that suffered from depression are often very impulsive, and they might not actually mean it in the same way that like a person that really wants to do it does. And do you think it's worth checking into that or looking for those flags, those red flags, those identifiers? Or do you think it should just be like, no, they made that decision and they're a fully atomized individual and they should just be able to click the red button?
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't want to sound too radical, but as an antinatalist, yeah, I think assisted suicide should be a lot easier. And
well, that's, I guess, what I mean is like, what do you mean when you say a lot easier? Do you mean like removing all barriers to the process, or like without having to be questioned, or do you mean like just, or what do you mean? Is that what you mean?
Well, yeah, sure. There shouldn't be any. Everybody should just have the right to get the state or the municipality to help in assisted suicide. Yes, and that's very far from reality right now. But
okay,
I think, I mean, that would be a decent thing for the state to engage into. Like if people want.
Yeah, but how can you trust them, Peter? How can you trust them? Scamdemic, dude. Like, how can you trust them? Like, they could be like ushering people into suicide pods, and the perfect utopia. But really, what if they?
No, they said they wanted it. They said they're an antinatalist, so we pushed the button. No questions asked.
Well, I think in the movie Soylent Green that takes place in 2022, they actually do that. You know, they do assisted suicide and then they use them for food. So that's a bit nasty.
That's a bit nasty, but I guess it's fair. I suppose you got to recycle. You know, it's always important to recycle. That's a great movie, actually. I don't know if anybody out there, if you haven't seen Soylent Green, you should check it out. It's a fun movie. Good old Chuck Heston.
I actually think that,
probably.
People should have more access to assisted suicide, but I think that the caveat should be that I'm always there waiting for you at the end of the tunnel. Like, I'm the one who presses the button on the machine. You have to come into the room with me, and I just bully you the entire.
This is Dan. This is Dan, the wood chipper prophet.
Yeah,
this is Dan. You don't deserve the same air I breathe. Prophet.
Yeah, you get to have assisted suicide, but you got to spend 15 minutes in the box with me, and I'm going to tell you whatever I want to tell you. No, I actually think that I kind of agree. That's one thing that antinatalists have a foothold with me on, is that I think we do have a really this is such a touchy subject. I don't want to say we have an anti-suicide stance on things, but I do think that there are more situations that could present themselves than just what is legally allowed right now, where people could have access to assisted suicide. I do think that could be loosened pretty significantly, but I think that like I've heard some people say just anybody should be able to walk in and press the button on themselves, and I can't agree with that. But the antinatalists do have a foothold with me in saying that, like, we should have increased access to being able to end your life when you want for more different circumstances.
We should get Roberto on to talk about that.
Hey, if Roberto would come on, Roberto, if you listen to this, if you want to come on, like,
he already built his suicide machine. He spent his 15. He got his 15 minutes of fame.
Yeah, and he really likes attention, and I mean, he's gonna listen to this, so we should.
Oh yeah, he will. Of course he will. Of course
we should.
Yeah.
This will have 45 comments the minute after it's posted.
Yeah. Let me tell you what, Roberto, as like I said in my Amend Him video, I think you're a fucking moron, and I'm team Peter when it comes to antinatalists. I'm team Peter.
So thank you. Yeah.
Get fucked, buddy.
Yeah.
Peter's the only true good antinatalist. He's the only one who comes from an actual true philosophical standpoint. Every one of them also, while at the same time saying that you shouldn't come from this, like, the only arguments that you can make are from an emotional standpoint to say that life is a good thing, blah, blah, blah. And then their arguments for not having life and sentience are all just emotional arguments.
They're all that, don't you know that children die? That's like 60% of antinatalist arguments is pointing out that children suffer sometimes. Which, it's something that I understand why it's the go-to, because it's something that, like, everybody can feel deep in their core, and they, the most innocent, vulnerable among us would suffer like that. Like, everybody understands that on some sort of, like, very primal level. But yeah, I can't throw out the baby with the bathwater, no pun intended.
Peter, do you feel that most antinatalists are getting enough carbs and enough sugar?
That's key.
Maybe too much. I don't know what I don't know what is carbs. Sorry,
Carbohydrates.
Okay. I'm not sure what that is, but
are you a vegan? Are you a vegan, Peter?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that, because that's my point with the theoretical position, because I am in philosophy, but I can't really I don't have the willpower to do it for real. So I'm totally
got all that delicious schnitzel and stuff out there.
Yeah. So I'm eating a lot of meat. Yeah, but I'm totally agree with the vegan philosophy. I don't see any. I mean, there's no.
Well, I think I think just like with everything, right? There's so much parity between what we actually believe. Our differences are actually probably a little bit more narrow and smaller. Because we all agree on a lot of like basic things, like especially when it comes to, we've been doing a lot of stuff with vegans. We've actually talked to a few quote unquote professional vegans recently on the channel. And
that's where the carbohydrate reference comes in. Sean and I are living a semi-vegan diet that has very high carbohydrates, and we're feeling like we're dying. Yeah.
So no, but what I mean is just like there's a lot of parity, and there's a lot of things that we all kind of agree on. And I think if we put our energies towards things that are realistic and practical,
like we would killing in Mendham.
Like killing in Mendham. I think we'd all be better off.
Online.
Yeah, in Minecraft, of course. We're gonna play.
Put me in jail. They locked me in jail for trying to kill in Mendham.
But anyway, I mean, I do try to eat as much vegetables and stuff that I can, because I do think about it. Like if I eat an animal, I do think that it's a real animal that has suffered and stuff. But I do it anyway a lot. Unfortunately,
it's a lot of people should kind of get woke on this. It's like it's a great privilege.
Yeah,
it's a great privilege as a person to be able to consume animal flesh, because they are sentient beings to some degree, and we should appreciate that. We should have more respect for that. I don't think we don't have very much respect for it, especially in the Western world.
Yep. Too wasteful.
And that's what I mean about even with like crazy vegan people. I call them crazy vegan people. There's a lot of things you can agree with. You can be like, yeah, factory farming, the way we do things, like a lot of bad stuff. And these are things that we can all be more conscious of, and we can all work towards like a better, more productive.
But the vegans, future. Just like the antinatalists, just ruin their message with being loud and annoying on the most obnoxious mute points.
I would agree with that. Yeah.
No, I mean, if somebody like a beautiful woman asks you to have unprotected sex, I mean, you might have, as an antinatalist, you might not have enough self-control.
Yeah, but my body positive, sexual positive, like stance would, trump that antinatalism belief. So.
Is she a feeder?
I will quickly find another mental disposition to counter, said proposition. So, I mean, let's find a different scenario here. Well, actually, you really can't, because I'm kind of terrible.
But I mean, it's just words. Words is not reality.
Well, I appreciate that you're able to kind of conceptualize and admit the fact that, like, philosophically, intellectually, there's a lot of things that are interesting, and they're cool. They're interesting to think about. They're thought provoking. You may even feel it deep inside your bones, but the practical reality of actually having to do those things is often something that people do not have the willpower to engage with. They don't. So whether it's eating meat or not, having unprotected sex with that beautiful woman, even though there's a chance that you're going to come and she's going to have a baby.
Well, but in theory,
Peter's pretty safe because she's already out in Texas. So,
But no, but in theory, I don't have a problem with extinction of humanity. I don't mean to be like rude or something, but I just. I don't. In theory, I don't see anything wrong with not being any humans.
Well, Peter, when we join forces, we'll give the Earth a deadline, right? An ultimatum. So they have like 1.5 billion years left, and that's it. That's it. That's not a day, not a second longer. All right. Okay.
Yeah, existence is really weird. It's very strange life. I mean, at least in Denmark, I mean, nobody wants to engage in a philosophical. I mean, that's why I think you guys are geniuses, because I mean, I could never have a conversation with Danish people about like existence and stuff like that. They would just be like, "What the fuck?"
Well, I think we find the same thing. Like, we can't just like go outside of our of the zoo box and go bring like, I can't go to my son's school and talk to the other parents and be like, "Yo, you guys ever hear about antinatalalism?"
Yeah.
Like, who the fuck are you?
I can't go to a parent teacher meeting and just start scarfing 30 bananas during the entire meeting, right? So
yeah.
Well,
you could.
I could, but
are they green and starchy?
Yeah, but so I think it's cool that we agree about that. It's never going to happen. It's never going to happen that people stop having sex because it's such a powerful drive.
Yeah.
Well, it's baked into the cake of human nature. Like,
it's in the denna. It's in the denna. That's what it's in the denna.
I mean,
that's what we try to do.
We have a desire to be immortal. And having a child is an extension of that desire. Nobody conceptualizes their life of like, I could die tomorrow. Most people don't think about their existence that way. Nobody thinks about that stuff like ad nauseum unless you're really neurotic, which I suppose I have been in the past. But but like, it's an extension of your immortality, of your legacy, of all of these things. And I don't even disagree completely with antinatalists when they say, like, well, having a child is narcissistic and selfish. There is an aspect that is selfish. There is an aspect definitely that is selfish. But if you decide, if you make that conscious decision and you're like a good parent, like, there's not everybody that has kids should have kids. I think we've already established that. But like, you can be like, okay, this is the practical reality. This is the pragmatic situation that I'm in. This is the practical reality. I want to make a better person. I want to make the world a better place through having offspring, because my offspring could be better than me, could do something great. I could do something great as a consequence of interacting with a child, something that I bring into the world. Like, those are things that I think antinatalists don't appreciate sometimes, because they look at it as such a dead end. They look at it as nothing but the selfish.
On the negative. They can't get past over the negative and understanding like the good.
Yeah, I mean, of course. I mean, there's also maybe some pleasure aspects by having a child, especially for the woman, like breastfeeding and stuff. I'm not denying that. Stuff like that is.
Well, but there's a broader philosophical perspective you could take on bringing life into the world and what that means to the world. Like, even though like we all suffer our hardships and not everything is perfect, we right now live in the best time to ever be alive for human beings. There's never been this ease of the access to existence as there is today. However bad it gets sometimes. It gets bad sometimes. People suffer a great deal still. But we're moving toward a place where that becomes less and less and less. And I think that is something that antinatalists often don't appreciate. I'm not saying that it's perfect. It's never going to be perfect. I think antinatalism sometimes is too clean. It's too simple.
But I mean, somebody made Roberto. I mean, he's got parents,
Well, fuck those people. Yeah. I mean, those people they got it wrong.
Those were the bad parents. Those were the bad parents John was talking about.
Well, because like we agree. I think there's a lot of people that have kids that have no business having fucking children. I think children do not ask to be born, and to bring one into the world is a serious fucking endeavor. It's a serious thing. You better take it fucking seriously. They didn't ask for this. It's your responsibility to step up and provide them the best life you possibly can, and give them, or at least give them the tools to create their own life in a positive direction.
We
a lot of people don't do that.
The consent. We didn't talk about the consent at all yet. But of course,
let's go.
But I mean, there is no option of consent anyway. So I mean, of course, it's impossible. So
consent doesn't exist. Consent doesn't exist because all authority goes back to force. So consent is a philosophical construct that is only defined by whether or not you have someone protecting you. So like, you can't consent to anything unless somebody else makes sure that there's a safe space for you to be there. Like, you understand? Like there, like consent is based on consent is a hothouse plant. It doesn't exist in nature. Chickens don't have consent. Lions don't have consent. Humans have consent. So that's a thing that can exist when we have civilization, but it's not part of actual life. It's not part of life day to day in the universe.
Yes, some people say that we choose to come into existence, but I don't really understand what they mean by that. But...
Well, I would completely disagree with that. Like I said, like I think people take it not serious enough bringing a life into the world. I 1000% would agree with that, but I don't think that necessarily means that there is no value into bringing life into the world, or that couldn't be a positive thing to existence writ large. Like you said, like there is no way for something that doesn't exist to give consent to existing. Like it's paradoxical. Like there's no way. There's obviously not. There's not an answer to that, and you're not violating something that doesn't exist. It's an abstraction. It's a nice talking point. It's a fun thing to think about, but really, there's nothing that grounds that in anything, unless you have a different perspective. Like, what is your perspective on that?
Well, I don't want to disagree with that. I mean, I'm fine with that, at least right now. I mean, it's because I mean, as I said, my viewpoint is pretty much standard antinatalism, and you know, I mean, if you disagree, I mean, that's fine. I mean, it's just...
that's the thing. No, and I understand we disagree. I totally understand that we disagree, but there's nothing wrong with you kind of expounding upon like your viewpoint, because that's why we invited you on, because we want to hear your viewpoint, and you're not going to be attacked, and we're not going to like fucking dogpile you or any weird things like that just because you disagree with us. Like we assume that we disagree. Like we obviously disagree, right? You have antinatalism fucking spray painted on your wall, Peter. Like, we clearly disagree. Like I have some fucking artwork and a couple toys behind me. Like I don't.
I'm thinking about like getting some movie posters, maybe some horror movie posters or something as well.
There you go, my dude. I know you're a fan of movies. We'll have to talk about movies someday.
Yeah, I really like horror movies. Yeah, but anyway, yeah, okay. No, I'll try to answer more philosophically then. Well, I mean, yeah, okay. You talk about value, like creating value through procreation, and I just think that, you know, as I said before, you know, I was fine with pre-vital non-existence. I can watch movies, like I watched Psycho with my mom yesterday. I think, it was yesterday.
That's an interesting movie to watch with your mother.
Yeah. Humanity was doing fine, you know, without me. I can watch like movies from before I was born, you know, and I don't think why did they bring me into all this? I mean, it's not like, you know, why should I live in history, as Matthew McConaughey says in True Detective? You know,
sure.
Yeah.
But you do.
Yeah.
But you do. So you're able to kind of enjoy the fruits of the suffering and labor of everything that ever came before you. It's a privilege. Just you watching Psycho with your mother is a giant privilege of existing after it was made.
Yeah, but that's exactly my point, man. Because I think it's the movie that has value. It's not me. It's you know, it's
that's not true movie. At all. Your thoughts about movie, your consumption of art is just as much a part of art as the art itself.
And the experience of watching it and appreciating it with the person that brought you into this world and nurtured you into this world too is even more of a beautiful thing. It is.
Like you have the shared experience because somebody else did something, and that's valuable, isn't it? Doesn't that add value to your life in any respect? Did you feel like that was a good experience, or have you ever felt that those were good experiences? I know you're a big movie fan. Like do you go see movies with your friends occasionally, or talk to people that you know about movies that you've watched? Those are the shared experiences that we have based on the foundations and the effort that we've all are putting into existence. We all get to share in that. Like, do you find that at all profound, or do you find like, well, I mean, I assume that your perspective would be like, if I didn't exist, then it wouldn't matter. But you do exist.
But also, not only that, but also the negative things are so much worse, I think, than the good one, positives. I mean, like we talk about like watching a movie, but like, what if something really horrible happened? Like, I mean, that would be so much worse than
of course
something
it would
good happening.
But it didn't. But it didn't yesterday when you watched Psycho with your mom.
Yeah, well,
it didn't. It didn't happen.
Yeah, and that's kind of the allegory that I face with the Antinatalist. It's the hot chip allegory. It's
the allegory of the hot chip in the cave.
Yes, like sometimes you want to eat chips that are too spicy, and you get sweaty in your pants, and you have to drink milk because it's too spicy, but you love the flavor of the chip so much that you can't eat it. Indeed, the same way that one consumes a shot of Wild Turkey 101 and then immediately has to chase it with a bit of sugar water, mate, because life constantly goes in this flux and this balance. You have that ancient symbol of the yin yang. Okay, every culture has this idea of balance where there's the light and the dark, and this constant cosmic dance, this pull of energies back and forth, is the essence of life. And I think that it is a false thing to say that the negative outweighs the positive, because from the stance of physics itself, there has to be a constant flux of these energies. Take a shot. Hot take, Peter.
Well, I don't know. I mean, maybe to me it's like objective. Maybe I got like too much education, so I'm just it seems like an objective fact to me. I mean, it just seems obvious.
Yeah, you're looking
because there's so many horrible things. I mean, it's just unbelievable. I mean, the horror you can experience it's unbelievable. I mean,
yeah, but aren't the horrible things just as subjective as you enjoying a movie with your mother? I mean, everything becomes relative at some point. Like, not everybody.
Yeah, but I mean, how can you compare that with like being tortured, brutally tortured or something?
Can I compare it? I mean, some people like that. They're people that are into BDSM. I mean, like, well, there's gradations. There's gradations to everything, and you can always point to like the most horrific things that happen in existence. Sure, like you can, but that doesn't.
But then you can also point to a million or billions and billions of unsung silent moments between mothers and children and brothers and kids playing in a field eating blueberries straight off the bush, and families going on trips together. And I mean, Christ, I have the most mundane memories of like walking up hills with my brothers and my parents, and now walking up hills with my son and my wife, and those unsung moments are the ones that balance out the person getting blown up in the trench that everybody fucking talks about. I think that there's too much emphasis on saying, oh, there's cancer, there's people that get killed in war. There is also an explosion. Every time my son looks into my eyes and smiles at me and we have an inside joke, my heart explodes into a million pieces. Every time I see my brother again after a long time and give him a hug, I feel this feeling of warmth and camaraderie like I don't feel with any other person. And those are the unsung moments that make life worth it. No one talks about that because everyone talks about the sinking of the Titanic and how mustard gas killed a lot of people, and what happened in Poland in 1943 or whatever. And I think that the moments that make life worth it are unsung, and that's why we don't talk about them. That's why we don't weigh them on the scale, because they're almost ephemeral. They're like air. They don't have weight like the explosive moments.
Well, that's a favorite of Inmendum as well. Like this, we are on the Titanic. Have you heard him say that?
Yeah.
Yes,
yeah.
I've actually been obsessed with the Titanic recently. I've been watching CGI recreations of the sinking that take place in real time. It's extremely fascinating and very nerdy. You might look those up. They're really, really cool. It takes about 3 hours to watch, but they're really fucking cool.
Man, So, like Peter, like so I had a nice little intro for you, like in the beginning. But one of the things I wanted to talk about is like as you are a content creator and part of like your two channels, you go, you talk about spreading or just discussing antinatalism. So for like the Zoobox audience, we have Zoobox numbers. What like would you want to relay to them that don't subscribe to antinatalism or like basically essentially why you make this content to begin with? Like what would you want to say to them? Like why subscribe to this notion of antinatalism?
Well, I just say about your intro. I thought it was cool. You made this backrooms, this awesome horror stuff. I really love the backrooms horror stuff.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, that was Big Paul. Yeah, Big Paul did that.
Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, but anyway, well, it's just like I said before. Like it's fun. I think it's fun. I mean, I can't speak for the whole community, but. Well, I just think it's a cool philosophy, It's
well, you find it, but don't you find it more than cool though? I mean, like you subscribe to it, like it's something that you believe deeper than just something that is cool and passing. Like I understand that you have like an intellectual pursuit with it, and you find it interesting intellectually and cerebrally, but it is something that you do like. You fold into your life, right? Like to a certain extent, because you are, like we can go back to the example of you watching Psycho with your mother. That's clearly something that you enjoyed, but you look at it, but you say like objectively, it doesn't matter, right? So how do you make the bridge? How do you bridge like the intellectual to the more like practical material that you carry with you in your life? Like that encourages you to have like a lifestyle.
Well, well, I mean, it's.
I know that's a hard question. I understand, but don't take your time.
It doesn't matter. It's just that it's as I said, the bad things that might happen are just so horrible that I mean, like if you have a child, like might have just horrible things could happen. He or she has to go to school and. Get bullied maybe, and it's just unbelievable the amount of like torture and shame and shit that might happen. It's like,
well, but that's like you're talking about abstract theoretical realities that might never be, and you could say the same thing in the other direction. You'd be like, what about all the great things that could happen? Like it's like that is the counter to that example.
Yeah,
but what with that?
Right, and that's what I'm talking about. There's a balance.
Well, I mean, there's this Burke. Yeah, there's this philosopher called Burke. He had this experience where that if you can like choose torture for 1 hour or and pleasure for 5 hours or something, like how would that compare? Like first, like you can get all the pleasure you want for 5 hours. Like I don't know, a reverse gangbang or something. I don't know, but then torture for 1 hour, like this kind of like hostile situation, like where you're just like some guy can just like
what would you choose?
Torture, like how would that compare? I mean,
I think it comes down to mental fortitude because if somebody gave me that, I would be like, you know what, let's fucking do it. Let's fucking do it. Honestly, give me 60 minutes of what you got.
In the United States, there are these like extreme horror houses, like these extreme haunted houses that people sign up for, like sign waivers to go into, where they are
McManey Manor or something.
Yes, exactly. You know what I'm talking about. Of course you do. Well, so people do engage with that kind of stuff. Like ultimately because it's safe and everybody is curious about the darker side of things. Everybody wants to know how much they could take. And it's an example of like the in some ways like how good we have it. We have it so good that we will sign waivers and pay money to go have people torture us for 6 hours.
Well,
we literally live in that world. We live in that world where that is an option and people do it.
But that's like also a reflection of how
I've been sending you guys. That life coach that I've been sending you guys that gets a bunch of men together, makes them carry a log around and do push-ups in the mud and shit. People pay money for that.
No, well, that's a different thing, though. That's a different thing. I could talk to you like offline about that.
Well, okay,
that makes sense. But
like what about Roberto attacking me? That's brutal torture.
well, listen, Peter. Like I thought I made my case clear earlier, but you scratch our back, we'll scratch yours. There's got to be an alliance. We ditch antinatalism. We'll join forces. And we'll take Roberto down. Roberto is like it's not even boss level. It's like the annoying like player NPC that you got to get to before you get to the first boss. We want to take down the boss. Who's that boss, Sean? Who do we want to take down?
Yeah, he's more important than in Mendham, actually. I think maybe.
Oh, maybe. Do you think he's the future of the movement?
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, well, Peter, that's some great insight because if we can cut that before it even happens, no one will ever know. Only the four of us would know what actually happened.
Now, what we're
basically heroes. We're basically heroes.
We want you to be a sleeper agent. We want you to be our inside guy.
Yeah.
I'm joking.
Peter, you going to help us talk to Roberto?
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to hear what he's gonna say in the comment section.
I think what
do you think Roberto has the courage to come on here and talk to us?
Yes, yes.
I don't.
think that would be awesome. Yeah, wow.
But do you think he actually would?
No, because he's not a content creator. So I mean, he's not obvious.
You can just say he's a pussy. He's a pussy.
Yeah, he basically said he's a pussy.
So, well, to go back to, I want to go back to the example that you, or the the question that you posed. Like, if you could have an hour of torture or 5 hours of pleasure, well, what is what is the gain? Is it just that basic question? Like, either you get tortured for an hour, or you can have 5 hours of pleasure. Anything you want. Like, what what do you get on the other side of those equations?
Well, I don't. It's a dumb thought experience. I don't really agree with it either. So I mean, it's just like,
Well, I obviously nobody's gonna pick I could be tortured for an hour, or I could come for 5 hours.
Yeah.
I think it comes down to what you want out of life. I mean, given the example of my own life, I just took a couple of days off for myself. Every once in a while, me and Caitlin will try to take a couple of days off for ourselves, get away from the kids, get away from the house to do all that. But that's at the cost of months of putting up with a family and putting up with responsibilities and shit. And it's like, for me, the scales are so tipped in the opposite direction that it is worth months of giving up myself and my money and my time and my patience and my sanity for having a couple of days of reflection by myself, because I derive so much positivity from knowing that I'm living in a situation that I've created that makes me happy, and that I think can bring a greater future to the reality that I'm in. I mean, I feel like I'm living the campsite rule. The campsite rule is that when you stay at a campsite, you leave the campsite better than the way you found it, and that's the way that I want to treat life. And I feel like antinatalism kind of treats life in an antithetical way to that. It's like life is going to suck anyway, so nothing matters. Whereas the way I see it is like, life sucks, but you have to try to incrementally make it even just a centimeter better than the way you found it, and that's what matters, right? Like, does that make any sense to you?
Yes. I just wanted to say I just got a Camp Crystal Lake dorm mat. So I have welcome to Camp Crystal Lake. When you go into my apartment.
When you look at my
Friday the 13th.
There's Camp Crystal Lake right here.
That's so much I love. I love Americans so much. So
it's my social distancing badge.
Yeah.
Well, one of these days we'll have to get together and talk about Friday the 13th, The New Blood. Nobody likes that movie, and I saw that you think it's okay. So we'll
number 7. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, we could talk about that someday for sure. Make sure after we're doing this, keep in touch. When you get a computer,
cool.
You get a computer, we could do. You can come, if you're. I know you're a movie fan. This is a weird self plug, but Zoobox, a large portion of what we do is movie podcasts.
Yep.
We can't do this on a phone. Yeah, I'll try to get a computer with internet.
Yeah. When you get a computer in the future, you're always welcome. We can talk about horror movies and Friday the 13th.
Peter would be a great guest for Zoobox because the movie's a great guest.
A great guest, yeah. Do you? So you have like you've kind of couched this in like what is good for you rather than what is good for everybody. Is that correct? Like you just feel like, well, this is good for me, but it's not necessarily a prescription for everybody. Is that kind of the way you feel about it, or do you think it would be better if everybody adopted your worldview?
Yeah, I don't think I can speak for everybody. So that's like that's like the joke about antinatalism, that it's just so outrageous that's the fun aspect of humor aspect of it. I think that because it's so preposterous, to say
there's
that
an absurdist
everybody
quality
should
to it.
stop procreation.
Yeah.
So I don't think that's realistic at all. But it's still valid in my opinion because of the radicalism. If you like radicalism, it's.
Do you think of like radicalism in the sense that it makes people think about other things on a deeper level, or radical in what way? Like, is that what you mean when you say radical? It's like, well, it's so outside of the box, it may inspire thought. It may inspire people to be more considerate.
Because the mainstream is very natalist. There's this they live, as this marry and reproduce, this obey, did you see that movie by John Carpenter, where it's, with the sunglasses, and it's got this programming.
John Carpenter is one of my favorite directors, so yeah.
Ah, great. Yeah, The Thing is my favorite movie also. But,
dude, the Thing is my favorite movie.
Wow, great, yeah. I like, but anyway, the marry and reproduce thing in They Live, it's like there's that kind of programming. Like it's very natalist society in the mainstream So
I mean, do you look at it as a way like they promote this natalist ideology or this natalist perspective in a way just to service elites?
Yeah, to create slaves, to create
well, I don't think you're wrong there.
It's just I mean, there's no dignity. I mean, like if you look through Google movies, I mean, there's so many bad movies. It's just unbelievable. I mean, they really don't care about us, as Michael Jackson says. They don't really care about us. It's like
I have a lot of thoughts about that song.
Well, yeah. Well, yeah.
I love that song. I think that Michael Jackson speaks a lot of truth in that song. He speaks a lot of truth to a lot of things. He speaks truth to power in that song in a very specific way. I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah, I mean, it's just completely. I mean, it's just complete. I mean, I don't want to get into like the geopolitical and conspiracy theory and stuff, but it's all true in my.
We'll save that for another day. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's all true in my opinion. It's really it's really, really bad situation in terms of how much they I mean, they regard us as cattle. I heard that this guy who was an expert in who was like some kind of like agent, an expert in geopolitics, he said we are like cattle to them,
Oh, we are.
I mean, that's the mentality.
I mean, but that's not wrong. I mean, but that's just
there is actually there's the word the Hebrew word for cattle is goyim. But anyway,
goyim. We're goyim.
Yeah, we're cattle to them. You're right. We're cattle to them. You're correct.
We're disposable things that are there to just produce something for them. Like we have no agency, and I would agree with that. I would agree with that broadly speaking.
So, but it's just I'm wondering why so few people talk about that aspect of They Live, because they talk about like obey, they go around with these obey T-shirts, but very few people talk about the marry and reproduce sign.
No, well, you're not wrong, because that is something that is a function that is required for that upper class society to subsist in its opulence. Like you have to have like little automatons, you have little slaves, little workers. Yeah, that's very true. And it's and that's what like other movies, I suppose, if you want to go down the movie route, things like Fight Club or The Matrix. It's about waking up from that paradigm and understanding like your individual value relative to the collective. So yeah. I agree with that. I don't think that means like you need to like give in. You don't need to give into the evil people. You know, you don't need to give into them. You can create life to undermine, to be subversive.
You don't even have to make a baby to create life. You could like grow tomatoes.
Well, even that, right? Even this self-reliance, this ability to provide for yourself is a powerful, a powerful stance against the industries that we all exist in and surrounded by.
Right.
I actually.
Go ahead.
But before we went any further, there's actually a question. We have a bet around the office, and it's something that I ask all antinatalists. And you can just give a guess. You don't have to give a answer, but just theoretically, if I was put in a self-defense situation, and I had to punch Diane in the face as hard as I possibly could, how many pounds per square inch do you think that force would generate?
Well, it might be funny to do it. Yeah.
I'm just kidding. I would never do that. I would I would caress her hair and tell her bedtime stories and sing her to sleep.
No, we actually really love Diane. I would love if Diane would come on and talk to us, because we love to shoot the shit with Diane in the same way that we've just kind of hung out and shot the shit with you. I hope you feel like we've been welcoming and nice.
Yeah,
and,
sure,
fair,
right? Yeah, I really like you guys. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome, man. And I've really enjoyed our conversation. I think this has actually been this has been a lot of fun, honestly. And it's nice to hear from somebody that subscribes to this kind of belief, even if it is in the way that you do. Like you're way more I think you're way more practical about it than the vast majority of antinatalists that I've come across.
But just somebody to get away from the screen, well, so to speak, and actually engage with people that want to talk about this too. So, and I know it's in the wee early hours of the morning over there in Denmark too, man. So we really appreciate you making the time to come, talk to some Yanks across the pond here.
Yeah, it's 4:30 a.m. In Denmark, but it's okay.
Well, what do you got to do today? What are you doing today? What's your day looking like?
Well, I'm a professional chess player actually. So I'm a librarian. I'm a librarian, but mostly I think probably my chess is probably the most realistic thing I can really accomplish something with.
Do you ever do any competitions, live matches, anything
yeah,
like
sure.
that?
Yeah,
wow.
Yeah.
I would honestly, I love chess. I'm very fascinated with chess.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
I would love to watch you play chess. That would be great.
Oh, yeah, great.
He's got a couple of videos on Antinatalist Zone too. On that,
you guys should just tape a match between each other. Just tape a match.
Yeah, but if you
I want to get Peter against Hal from Space Odyssey 2001. I want Peter to take down the machine.
The thing, as this chess scene where it's like, cheating bitch, where he pours whiskey in.
Oh, yeah.
Like you're losing it, baby, or something, and then it's like checkmate and
yeah, man.
But I mean, if you know that you can say the words in chess, like you say e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop c4 and stuff. You can say the moves. So
yeah,
I mean, we could play like that if you want to. Then I could just play blindfold or something, and
you probably would, you piece of shit.
You could use a computer. No,
I'm joking. That's a joke. No, I'm not. I'm a very amateur chess player. Like I go on chess.com and every once in a while I'll just play random games and stuff like that. But it's something I'm always very fascinated with, and it's cool. And I saw on your channel that sometimes you post portions of matches or parts of like your victories. Your victories.
Yeah,
you're a very good chess player in terms of your stats. So.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. I posted a video where I won against number 2 in the world, Grandmaster. Actually, that was just pure. I mean, I don't know if he locked out or something. It's hard to explain, but yeah. But I posted that video where I proved that I.
No, imagine if he didn't exist and that guy just got to go. He got to live his existence just thinking like he's king shit. What if Peter never came along to kind of check him a little bit? You know what I mean?
I
like
know.
You've added so much value to his life. He probably like rethought things. He'd probably be like, man, I gotta bone up. I gotta train.
Yeah, I mean that's because you asked me what I do, so that's chess is probably mostly what I do and add most value, because when I play with people around the world, so I guess it does provide some value that.
Yeah, I think so. Honestly, yeah. Like you're all making each other better.
Yeah.
You're all giving you're all giving something to each other. Interesting.
Yes. Well. But I mean, I don't have a normal job or anything. But that's, I mean, also I have to take care of my mother. My old mother. So.
Yeah, that's a tough job in itself too. So.
Yes. I mean, she's very old now. So.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah. So.
And you're hanging out watching Psycho with her.
I know. That sounds like a grand old time.
I don't know if I'm gonna shoot stuff her maybe and put her in the basement or something. I don't know.
Is that something?
Peter, you can have your own misery situation going on.
Oh my God. Is that something?
Can your mom write? Is she a good writer?
Yeah. Misery. The other horror movie, Misery.
Oh. Yes, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Film. Yeah.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah. That's.
So is that something that you enjoy doing as well? Is just kind of like spending time with your mom and like sharing movies and watching stuff and talking about things? Do you ever do you guys discuss them, or is it just?
Because I mean that's kind of interesting, because I really love my mother a lot and has a really good relation with her. So it's really not about that. Antinatalism for me is not about that, and
yeah.
She's a very intelligent person also, and we even talk about antinatalism, and she sort of agrees, she's like, yeah, I shouldn't have created you and stuff like that, it's like, which is hard to hear, but
you walked her into it.
But she's just like,
Let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question.
Hmm.
Have you forgiven your mother? Have you forgiven her for bringing you into the world?
Yeah, sure. It's not directed against her. It's really it's not. But as you said, it's the case with many antinatalists, unfortunately, and that's kind of sad.
But if you're an antinatalist, you would have preferred to never exist. So have you forgiven her for bringing you into the world?
Yes, but it might change if something really bad happened to me. It might change that view. I
don't think that's how it works. So, you forgive, then you don't get the change that you've forgiven, right? So, I think that say the question another way: did you forgive your mother for bringing you into this world?
Yeah, right now, yes. But what if again, I mean, I know you. I mean, it's silly maybe to bring up these kind of extreme examples in Mendham does. What about the.
Well, it's in alignment with antinatalism, right? So if you believe that it's best to have never existed at all, right, then you have to have that understanding. You know how biology works. You know who brought you into this world, and now this person that you take care of, that you love, you share classic horror films with, and stuff, and you expressed your forgiveness to her to bring you into this world, because now you subscribe to this notion of antinatalism. So how that can't change, right? So I think just the question was, do you forgive them? That's not extremist. That's in alignment with what you.
Well, I do forgive her. Yes, yeah, sure.
Well, that's the first step of healing. The next step is joining Zoobox.
and fighting Roberto.
Well, I think Peter, I think you have ascended. You have taken the crown. You are the resident antinatalist for Zoobox.
Oh my God! Yeah, so let's do a shot for Peter.
For Peter, and fuck Roberto.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. I mean, he did say he's an antinatalist, but.
We all know he's just a piece of shit, though.
Yeah, probably a name only.
Right.
Probably a name only. Like all of them.
But well, it's more. It's but of course it's hard. I didn't have time to talk with my father about it because he died in January 2012.
Yeah.
So I never got to talk with him about it at all. But
well, didn't you come to it after your father passed away, correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And was that one of the things that like spurred you to find it because you were engaging with like deeper into like pessimism? Like you had that's the way you would put it. Like you had become very pessimistic. You were engaging with the philosophical notion of pessimism, and it led you to find antinatalism, correct?
Well,
Yes.
yeah, that and your brother too, right? If I'm not mistaken, that's what you said earlier, right? So you just had a series of like tragic events in a short period of time over a decade ago, and just kind of led you into them, right? So you grasped onto it for like a coping mechanism, and as we talked for the last 2 hours now, like you understand the reality of it, right? But it's not a thing; it's more of a community for you.
It's not going to happen that people stop procreating.
No, it's not. Sorry, you guys lose. No, but like I it seems like you have found a lot of solace in the community, in the engagement, right? Like it's given you kind of like a social life in a weird way.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, and that's not a bad thing. I'm not suggesting that's a bad thing, or I'm not trying to knock that. I'm just saying like that seems to be like the product of this engagement, right?
Right. Does this podcast also, yes, that we haven't talked about, Forever Wolf? I don't know if you listened to it's even on Spotify. That's something like 54 episodes or something.
Forever Wolf, is that old fan?
Yeah, all right. Yeah, but I think I mean I think your podcast is much better, of course. But this is
Antinatalist. Please stop.
This is Antinatalist podcast that we haven't talked about yet, but I don't really like Amanda Oldfan much, so I don't know what to say.
She's a student of Inmendham of Scary Gary.
Yeah, Scary Gary's bad news. Peter, so like when we go offline, we'll show you what the package looks like. But basically, like once you become us, right, you just come down with that punch list, and we'll go down that fucking punch list. Scary Gary,
you give us our
Scary Gary, done. Diane, done. Roberto, we know what's going to happen to Roberto, right? You fucking Alex, that twink, Alex the twink, yeah. Boom. We got this, man. We got this. So
there's
we'll
so
talk.
many.
We'll talk in post, man. But just know. Just know it's going down.
Just know at some point you will be the king of the antinatalists because we will destroy them all.
You will be the antinatalist.
Yeah,
we're joking. We're joking around.
It's hard to talk about them all, it's because there's so many of them. But
well, do you think that most people that are into antinatalism that represent the antinatalism perspective on YouTube or online writ large do a very good job of it?
No, I don't think Ulfa and Amanda does. No, I think it's a terrible podcast. And also, and also in Mendham, it's not. As I said, I don't think he. I mean, he's got like more than 12,000 subscribers or something. But
well, he's been doing it for like 15 years.
Yeah, like 10,000 videos or something. But he's like, I mean, I don't know. No, I don't. I mean, I don't mean to be rude or anything, but I don't think Oldfan, Forever Wolf, or in Mendham is doing a very good job. But I think in Mendham is very charismatic. I mean, he's a very.
Oh, he's very.
I mean, his looks are pretty extreme. I mean, he's very like masculine and
yeah, Scary Gary.
Energetic and. So I mean, I think he has something going for him there, but because he's so he's got so much energy and stuff. But I mean,
he will relentlessly talk about the same 4 things over and over and over again for 15 years.
Well, it's a superpower, and we did a short video to kind of do our best with a low budget to illustrate how he steals star energy, right? So. It's a process, and it does, and that's why we raise awareness. And he needs to be stopped.
He's an internet. He's a intergalactic criminal.
Yeah, I mean, this cannibalism, reproduction. What is it like? Yes, it's for like like forms the word cancer or something, like something ridiculous.
Yeah.
You know, like what does he even mean by cannibalism? I mean, it's not like we're. I mean, very few people are real cannibals. So I mean, he's using it as a metaphor or what? I mean, it's like what the fuck.
No,
he does. That's why he's Scary Gary, because we don't really know. We don't really know.
We don't know. I have a feeling he eats cats. But
maybe.
No, but
or fetuses. I don't know.
Well, I think that's just a product of having being tasked with saying the same thing for 10 years. You have to find new ways to say it. So you come up with new analogies, and new examples that you think will be more effective than the ones that came before. So I think he engages in a lot of that. He engages in a lot of hyperbole. He engages in a lot of I don't find his stuff very philosophically well grounded. I don't think he's very well read. Like I said, I think he has intuited a lot of his opinions just about like observing life and his own life experience, which is fair enough. I mean, that's why he, I think, views himself as a modern philosopher, or at least that's what people say about him. But thankfully, Peter thinks he's full of shit.
Yeah,
I'm just joking.
Yeah. I know it sounds a little weird, maybe, to say that both Old Fan, Wolf, and Inventum are full of shit, but I really think that more or less that is my opinion. Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I would agree with you. I don't think they're very good. I don't think they're very good avatars for antinatalism or even ephilism. I don't think they're very good at what they do. Amanda just seems like, well, Amanda's a bootlicker. She's a follower. She just follows. She just at Scary Gary's every whim. There's Amanda.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Like, and it's a little weird.
Yeah.
the
it's really impressive. You're not. I mean, I think I have to give you a compliment that if you've only been in this a couple of months, it's really impressive. I think your knowledge about this.
Well, thank
topic.
you. We do appreciate that. We've spent, but when we go into this kind of stuff, especially something I disagree with, I try to give it as much of a fair shake as possible. I try to go into as many things and listen to as many people and read as much as I possibly can, because my pursuit is knowledge. My pursuit is truth. It's not like what I find convenient. When I found out about antinatalism, like I said at the top, I thought maybe I would find something interesting or something that listen, I think like it has made me think about things that I already thought about. Like it kind of like just reconceptualized things for me. And like I said, like we had said before, like there's a lot of things we probably agree on, right? Especially in terms of the carelessness that people bring other people into the world.
Yes.
I don't disagree with that at all. I don't. I'm just like, I'm just so cool and just so fucking special that when I did it, it was okay. You know what I mean?
Yes, yeah, sure.
That's what everybody thinks, right? Everybody.
But I mean, I don't have any right to interfere with your procreation, right to procreate. I mean,
that's okay. I'm only having 2 kids. My wife's about to have our second kid, and then we're done. So you're safe. You're safe. You're safe from Zoobox for now. Okay.
But about Inventum, I mean, there's this example where he with the turtle that he keeps repeating, for example, with the what about the turtles and stuff, like, I mean, it just gets annoying, I think.
Well, it gets so hyper specific that it stops meaning anything. Like I don't know. Like I find a lot of the antinatalism argument very petty and very like pedantic. I don't like it's all just based in your singular experiences, and I'm okay that you feel that way. Like I don't like take offense to it. Like I'm not like worried about it. It's not something that bothers me. I accept that people think vastly different things than I think, but I don't often find the arguments very compelling. And that goes back to just like the hierarchy of value that I have in my life, the way I prioritize my life, the way I feel and think, and the things I care about are just vastly different. We just like.
But did you say you have one child and then you are expecting more? Well, sorry.
Yes.
Excuse
Yeah.
me.
Yeah. I have one child right now, and then my wife is pregnant with her second child, and then we're done.
I see. Yeah. Okay. That was like Sam Harris. Yes, I think he has 2 children as well. But I mean.
Oh yeah, no, I'm very highbrow. I'm very intellectual, just like Sam Harris. And I was just like, yeah, 2 kids, that's enough. We're good. I'm older too. I'm 35. I'm going to be 36 this year. So like for me, it's just like, well, I'm only going to have so much time and energy to expend on raising a person, and I acknowledge that. And I'm just like, well, there will come a time where I'm just not going to be able to do it anymore. So I need to do it now and do it responsibly as possible. But I know you disagree with that, like, and that's fine. And I like, that's no problems.
Yeah, theoretically, yes. But I don't. But
you would love my kids. You would Peter. We could hang out with my kids. You'd love them. We'd be watching fucking Evil Dead. We'd be watching Sam Raimi movies. We'd be having.
I love Evil Dead. Yeah.
Oh yeah. So does my son, Peter. My son loves Xenomorphs. He really likes Ridley Scott's
Alien.
Yeah. Oh yeah. My kid, he's 4 years old, but he's a real sharp cookie.
Oh wow. Yeah. But I mean, I think we agree about the. I mean that sex is a powerful. Might say it seems trivial to say, but that it's a powerful drive or instinct or something.
Well, it's the most basic part of human nature. It is.
So how would you stop that? I mean, it's not going to stop with words. I mean, you can't stop that with words. I don't think so. I mean, yeah.
No, unless there's some sort of cataclysmic event that neuters people, or some sort of nuclear radiation, or maybe I don't know, maybe some sort of vaccine or something that makes people sterile. You never know. You never know, Peter.
Well,
on the horizon.
Well, yeah. I mean, my background is in literature. It's not in philosophy as such. So I don't go much into like the red button scenario and all that. But I mean, my background is the humanities. It's not specifically the philosophy department.
But there's obviously a lot of crossover with that stuff, because sometimes the fiction writers get there before the philosophers, right? I think a good example would be Dostoevsky, right? He is writing philosophy, but he's writing it in a fiction narrative before he was really explored properly in philosophy. So even just being from literature does not necessarily mean that you're not exposed to it, or you don't. And I know that you are, Peter. I know that you've read a lot. I watched some of your videos. I understand, like, you're a well-read guy. I know you are. So don't discount that. Like, you're a very sharp dude, and I appreciate, and we all appreciate your time coming here and just having a fun conversation. Yeah. I hope you found this fun. I hope you've enjoyed yourself.
Yeah, really great stuff. I mean, but the screen is frozen. But can I reset the screen or something, or the cam maybe?
That I don't. I'm not sure, but I think we're about coming. I think we're about to end.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay. Yeah. Sure.
So we'll bid you adieu here, but please keep in touch, Peter, and this will be posted probably by tomorrow.
We'll take down Roberto.
We'll take down Roberto. We're gonna take down Amendum. Dude, we're going after all the big dogs, Peter.
That's the great reset. Build back better without Roberto.
Without Roberto and without Scary Gary. I agree. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for hanging out.
Okay.
Thank you, Peter, for joining us. And this has been a lot of fun. Thank you, guys.
Okay. Yeah. Bye.
Bye.